Alright, here we go. We're diving into Blue Yellow Nami today, and we're trying to build this deck without breaking the bank. So that means no Kumas and no Marcos in today's list. But we're trying out some interesting alternatives. We will have to wait until EBO3 to get the full price of this deck. Right now, this exact list is sitting at $100. We do have this 5-cost Nami and this 7-cost Nico Robin that are coming out in EBO3. A lot of people are speculating they're going to get pretty expensive. Both of these cards are SRs. So what I wanted to do was look at the top 5 most expensive SRs from the OP14 EBO4 set right here, and you can see after a couple weeks the cards are settling in price right around $5, $3, and then we have Boa Hancock, which is still sitting around $15 a card. If I had to guess, I would say that this yellow Nami is probably going to land a little bit closer in price to this Boa Hancock, somewhere between $10, $15. And the Nico Robin is going to be not too far behind. Both those cards are just going to be so strong in yellow decks moving forward. But let's just say we'll expect them to land somewhere around $10 a card. And if that's the case, with this deck list, we are running 3 of the Nami and 2 Nico Robin. That would add about $50 to our market price, bringing us to a total of around $150, which honestly isn't too bad if you still look at some of the prices of the top meta decks. Like Boa Hancock I have up here, for example, running around $380 to make this build, and that still doesn't include the Nami card that's still to come. And these Kumas are still running around $50 a card. I just don't think you need to be spending that much to be competitive in this game. So let's take a look at Blue Yellow Nami. We'll look through the deck list, we'll talk about the game plan, and then we'll break down 2 games in action. We got a matchup against Red Blue Ace, and then we got a matchup against Blue Yellow Boa. Let's have some fun. Timestamps are going to be listed below. The deck list will be available in the description, and if you have any comments or questions, just leave them in the comments section below. All right, here we go. Starting off, if you don't know Nami's leader ability, I think she has one of the strongest leader abilities in the game right now. Your turn, once per turn, you may activate this effect when a life card leaves any life area. Draw 1 card if you have 7 or less cards in your hand. This effect pairs nicely with Nami's second ability, which is Dawn ×1 on opponent's attack. Once per turn, you may trash 1 card from your hand. This leader gains 2,000 power during this turn. Super strong leader ability. 1, we're building our resources in hand, and 2, we're protecting our leader, forcing our opponent to have to commit more Dawn. Okay, let's dive into this deck list here. Again, feel free to pause and look over any of these cards, but we're running 4 Nojiko. Very strong card. It has the on play. If your leader is Nami, return up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less to the hand. This card is really strong in our early and mid game, especially to just slow our opponents down. We're also running 2 Young Girl. It has the on play, draw 1 card and trash 1 card from hand. And the activate main, once per turn, give up to 1 rested Dawn card to your Nami. And it's cool because we can give it to a character Nami or to our leader, but most of the time we want to use it on our leader to make sure we can use Nami's defensive ability. I do see some decks running 4 of this, which is definitely an option, but it is running around $8 a card-ish, so if we're keeping a budget, personally, I like running 2 in the deck. Next, we're running 2 Charlotte Pudding. With the on play, your opponent returns all their hand cards to their deck and shuffles their deck. Then your opponent draws 5 cards. Definitely, depending on the matchup, this card can be a very strong play. I noticed against Mihawk and Ace especially, they love to get a lot of cards in their hand. With the well-timed pudding play, we can totally disrupt our opponent's game plan. We're also running 3 of the 5-cost Nami, and this card right here, this is what we substituted in for the Marcos. So the Marcos, I'll look those up real quick. 4-cost Marco, it's a blocker. On KO, you get to draw 2 cards. This Nami, it's a 5-cost blocker, also a 6k power body. With the on play, we get to draw 3 cards and place 2 cards from your hand at the top or bottom of your deck in any order. So another 6k body blocker that just helps us out with our hand resources. Marco lets us draw 2 cards. Nami lets us draw 3 cards and then place 2 at the top or bottom of our deck. And she's a Nami, so she can synergize in our deck. Cards like Young Girl. Next, we're running 3 Jozu. I feel like most people know Jozu, but if you don't, on play, you may return one of your characters other than this card to your hand, and then return one of your opponent's 6-cost characters back to their hand. One thing I'll say about Jozu in this deck, one play that can be super strong, is playing out a Nojiko, and then playing out the Jozu to bounce the Nojiko back to hand, or if we already have a Nojiko on the board from earlier in the game, playing the Jozu, bouncing the Nojiko back to hand, and then playing the Nojiko right out. It could be a really strong play to control our opponent's board in the mid to late game. Next, we're running 4 Kizuki Hiyori. This card most of the time just acts like a 2K counter in the deck, but she does have a strong on play where we can pick up the top or bottom card of our life and then put one card from our hand to the top of our life pile. So typically we're trying to put a trigger at the top of our life that's going to benefit us. We don't run too many triggers in this deck, but we do have a few useful ones, like we have Kikanojo here, Silver's Rayleigh. We can KO an opponent's character with 7,000 power or less. We also have Red Rock, where we could bottom deck a 4 cost, or Gravity Blade, where we could bottom deck a 5 cost. We also have You'll Frighten Me. We could play a character with 6,000 power or less and a trigger from hand. A lot of different trigger plays we can do if needed. Next up, we're running 4 Zeus, another card that's usually just going to be a 2K counter for us, but they do have the on play where we can add a card from the top or bottom of our life to our hand and then KO up to one of our opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. It's also nice because since we're picking up a card from our life, we get to activate Nami's leader ability. So we're getting 2 cards in our hand, KOing a 5 cost character. We do have to lose 1 life to do so, but given the situation, it can definitely be worth it. Next, we're running 4 Kikanojo. I feel like most people know Kikanojo by now, but just a strong staple card in most yellow decks. She's a 4 cost, 6,000 power body with the on KO. If our opponent has 3 life or less, place the top card of your deck to your life. Next, we're running 2 Hiyori. This is the 4 cost blocker Hiyori. This card right here is the substitute that we're running for Kuma. Because with Kuma, when we play him out, we have to trash a card from hand, but then we gain a life. And then with Hiyori, on KO, you may trash 1 card from your hand, and then add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. Kuma, definitely a stronger card overall. I mean, it's a 7,000 power body. It also is a 6 cost, and on KO, we also get another life. But with Hiyori being a blocker and then being able to get that extra life, it's just really strong in sort of any situation. Next, we're running 4 of the EBO3 Nami. This card is probably our strongest 5 Dawn play. If we're going first, we can play Nami on curve. First of all, we get to attach a Dawn to our leader. Second of all, our opponent has to pick up a life. And then Nami has a strong on KO where we can turn the top card of our life face up and then play a 6,000 power or less body from hand. So we're typically targeting Silver's Rayleigh, Kikanojo, or our 5 cost blocker Nami. All right, next we're running 2 Silver's Rayleigh, another really strong board control card, very strong for removing a character depending on the situation. Next we're running 3 Nico Robin. On play, we trash a card from the top of our life, and then we get to add 2 cards from the top of our deck and add it to the top of our life cards. When we play Nico Robin, first of all, we're picking up a life, so we get to activate Nami's leader ability. A life card is removed from our life area, we get to draw a card. Then we're getting 2 life from the top of our deck. On top of that, Nico Robin has the on KO effect, deal 1 damage to your opponent, and that's 1 damage. So even if our opponent has 0 life, if they swing into the Nico Robin, which has happened before, our opponents didn't know, you just win the game right there. Next up, we're running 3 Eustace Captain Kidd. This card's on play. You may rest this character, trash up to 1 card from the top of your opponent's life cards. So as you can see, overall, we have a theme of life manipulation and board control. It's really cool how flexible we can be depending on the situation, especially in the late game, if we need to add more life, if we need to control our opponent's board, or if we need to just trash our opponent's life and just go for lethal. Eustace Captain Kidd also has the end of turn effect where we can cycle 1 card, we draw 1 card and discard a card from hand. So useful for just trying to get some extra counter or defensive resources in hand if needed. Next up, we have 1 of this event. If I give into the force, there will be no point to my life. This card can be a win condition for us. Its main effect, you may rest 1 Dawn card. If you have 1 or less life cards, when your leader attacks, your opponent cannot activate blocker during this turn. It can also be a useful counter card that gives our leader 3k power during a battle. Next, we're running 3 Red Rock. I feel like most people know Red Rock, but we get to bottom deck any character on our opponent's board. We're also running 1 Gravity Blade. It's just another board control option we have in our late game. It does cost 7 Dawn, so we do need to be careful when we use Gravity Blade to make sure that we're not slowing ourselves down too much as well when we play it. Okay, next we're running 4 Will You Be My Servant. This is going to be a new EBO3 event specifically for Nami. It's a strong search card that allows us to look for any card with a cost between 2 and 8. So pretty much every card in our deck is searchable besides this one event. It's really nice. Oh, and also You'll Frighten Me. It's really nice to just be able to search for anything in our deck with this card. It gives us a lot of freedom. It's also our only searcher card we're running in this deck though, so since we're not running any searcher characters, this card kind of makes up for that by being very versatile with what we search for. And lastly, we are running one You'll Frighten Me. It's just a really strong card late in the game to defend ourselves if our opponent is going for a lethal attack. Its effect, if you have 2 or less life cards, up to one of your opponent's active characters cannot attack during this turn. So that's the deck overall. Again, our goal is to just build our hand resources and control our opponent's game plan with this deck. It's really nice to be flexible, again, with options like Nico Robin to heal ourselves, options like Eustace Captain Kidd to just go straight at our opponent's life, or options like Silver's Rayleigh, Red Rock, Gravity Blade to control our opponent's board. So let's dive into a couple games. First up, we got a matchup with Red Blue Ace. Speed is going to be on 1.5x. We may pause at times to break some things down, but here we go. Let's see how Nami does in this matchup. We are going first, by the way. Our opponent chose to go second. We don't have any opening move plays, so we go ahead and pass our first turn. I do find often with Nami, we end up passing our opening turn, but that's okay. This deck is really strong in the mid and late game. Our opponent starts with an Otama. They get to draw 2 and trash 1. They attach a Dawn to lead and pass the turn. 3 Dawn turn for us. We go ahead and just attach all of our Dawn and swing 8 at 6. We're just swinging straight at their leader. Our opponent takes that first life. We get to utilize leader ability and draw a card, and we go ahead and pass the turn. All right, our opponent starts off playing a Marco, and they swing in 6 at 5. We go ahead here. We're considering leader ability. We do use leader ability. We ditch the Kikanojo, brick in hand. Our opponent goes ahead and passes the turn. So let's see what we want to do next. 5 Dawn turn here, and we start with our Nami on curve. We get to attach a Dawn to lead. We don't get to make our opponent pick up a life since they're less than 3 life already, but attaching that Dawn to Nami on curve is nice. We get a card out of hand. Our opponent ditches one of their new gates, and we go ahead and pass the turn. All right, 6 Dawn turn for our opponent here. They go ahead and start with the 6K swing at lead, 6 at 5, so we're considering leader ability here again to protect ourselves. And this Nami leader ability is really nice in the beginning of the game as we transition from early game to middle game, just to protect those early aggressive attacks. Then our opponent plays a Jozu, so they go for some board control too. They swing with their Marco, but our leader's 7K. That's not going to work. They did make us bounce our Nami back to hand. They go ahead and pass the turn. Keeping that grab blade could have been a nice play here to get rid of their board as well, but we play another Nami, so we get to attach a Dawn to lead. We swing 6 at their leader, 6 at 6, just putting some pressure on, trying to get another card out of their hand. They utilize leader ability. They get rid of a Red Rock, and then we go ahead and play a Nojiko to bounce their Marco back to hand. So going for a little back and forth with our board control. They bounced our Nami, we bounced their Marco. We go ahead and pass the turn back to our ace player. They go ahead and attach 1 Dawn to lead and play a Yamato. They played a Yamato, which allows them to attach a Dawn to their leader. They get to also draw 2 cards. They go ahead and play an Otama, so they get to draw another 2 and trash 1. So our opponent powering up. Our opponent's building up quite a hand size. It would be really nice if we had a Charlotte Pudding right now, but we do not. They go ahead and play an Ezo on the field, so they get to do another top 5 search. Ezo's a really nice searcher in the ace deck as well. They go ahead and swing 8 at lead. We go ahead and take that life. So we take our first life. We get a Jozu from our life. Our opponent, I believe, can still swing with their Jozu. But they go ahead and just pass the turn, leaving their Jozu standing. Maybe trying to starve us a little bit, keep their board strong. We start with the 6K swing with our Nami, just 6 at 6. Just a tap, just a 6K tap. They counter out, leader ability. We go ahead and attach a Dawn to our leader, and we swing 6 at their life. So we're swinging 6 at 6. Putting a little bit of pressure on our opponent here, though. Gonna have to get another card out of their hand. They counter out with a 1K. Okay, and here we go for the Jozu Nojiko combo. We play the Jozu, we bounce our Nojiko back to hand, we bounce their Jozu back to hand, then we play the Nojiko, and we get to bounce their 5-cost Yamato back to hand. So the Jozu Nojiko combo, very strong. We clear their board, pass the turn, and our opponent goes ahead and plays their 8-cost Whitebeard events to play their Edward Newgates on the field. The 10-cost blocker Newgate, they get to attach 2 Dawn to their leader. They also get to draw 2, trash 1, so their hand size continuing to be very, very strong. And our opponent just attaches the rest of their Dawn to lead, swings in 10k, and we just got to take that life. So we're down to 2 life. Our opponent strikes. They go ahead and pass the turn. They got their Newgate standing, and we start with the Eustace Captain Kid. We rest the Kid to make them trash 1 life. We get to draw a card with leader ability. We get our opponent down to 1 life. We play our Young Girl promo card. Get to attach a Dawn. Get to attach a rested Dawn to lead. We swing 6k at their leader. 6 at 6. Okay, we go ahead and swing 6k with our Nami. Our opponent counted out of our first attack with the 1k counter. So now we got 6 coming at 6. Our opponent blocks out of that attack. So now we're going to go ahead and swing with our Jozu. If our opponent just countered out, we would have left our Jozu standing since they would have had a free block. But since we are able to attack, we put the pressure on, get 1 more card out of hand. They counter out with a 2k counter. We pass the turn. With our Eustace Captain Kid, we get to draw 1, trash 1. So we do draw a red rock, and we trash a Kikunojo from hand. Our opponent now has 10 Dawn to work with. What is our red-blue ace player going to do next? All right, our opponent's thinking, and here they attach 3 Dawn. Okay, they go ahead and swing 9 at our Jozu. So our opponent putting some pressure on our board now. We go ahead and counter out 2k and a 1k. We protect our Jozu. We'll see if our opponent decides to swing here with the Newgate. They do attach a Dawn. So it looks like our opponent, yeah, they are going to swing in 13 at 9. They're swinging at our Eustace Captain Kid, and we do not have the counter to save it. We have to let our Kid go. Then they go ahead and play a Jozu. Strong play by our opponent. They bounce our Nami back to hand. So clearing our board a bit. We still have our Jozu, but our opponent passes the turn. They clear our Kid and our Nami. Good play by our opponent there. We're down to 2 life. 10 Dawn to work with on this turn. We have another Captain Kid. We're considering, do we go for a Captain Kid play? We also have a red rock, so we could clear their Newgate this play. Now we do have our event in hand that makes us unblockable. We do have that. So we're going to start off attaching a Dawn to Jozu, swinging 8 at lead, just poking them 8 at 6, seeing how our opponent handles this attack. Putting some pressure on. They use leader ability and then counter out with a 1k. Get out of that attack. And we go with the Captain Kid, so we force our opponent down to 0 life. We attach a Dawn with our Young Girl card to lead. We have 1 Dawn standing. We attach that Dawn, so we swing 7k at lead, putting the pressure on our opponent down to 0 life now. Getting those cards out of hand. They're now down to 6 cards in hand. They do counter out with the 2k on that attack. We end our turn, we get to draw 1 and trash 1 here. And you know what? Since we didn't use our red rock this turn, we do go ahead and trash the red rock, passing the turn to our opponent. All right, we're officially entering the late game. Our opponent down to 0 life. We're down to 2 life. We have a Kid on the board. We have a Jozu on the board. They have a Jozu and a Newgate, 10 Dawn to work with. They start with a 12k swing at our Jozu, just trying to clear our board. Do we try to keep the Jozu alive? That's going to cost a lot of counter. We might just have to let our Jozu go here. We're considering it, though. We're considering how much counter would it take. We have a 2k counter in hand, a bunch of 1k counters, but ultimately we decide to let the Jozu go. We're going to prioritize protecting our Captain Kid if we can. We'll see if they swing into the Kid. We'll see what our opponent does next. They go ahead and swing 6 at lead. See how we want to go about responding to this move. We go ahead and use leader ability. So we ditch one of our 1k counter Namis from hand, give our leader 2k power, an additional 2k power for the turn. Then they go ahead and swing with a Jozu. So 7 coming in at 7. Do we want to counter out with another 1k? We do. So we use another 1k counter to protect our life. And our opponent goes ahead and plays a red rock to clear our Jozu, and then a Marco, so they get another blocker on the board. But they have to pass the turn. 0 life, only 5 cards in hand. We have no characters to swing with anymore, though. Now we have the unblockable event in hand, but with the unblockable event, we can only use it if we have 1 or less life. So unfortunately, we can't use it this turn to try to go for lethal. We go ahead and play the Nojiko, and we bounce the Marco back to hand. Do we want to attach all of our Dawn and swing for lethal here? Very risky, but It could win the game on the spot right now. We decide to play it safe. We attach 5 Dawn. We swing 10 at lead. We're putting pressure on our opponent still. They're going to have to get out of this with at least 3 cards out of hand. They use leader ability. They ditch one of their Whitebeard events for 2k, minus 2k to our leader. They counter out with a 2k and a 1k. They're down to 3 cards in hand. And we end our turn playing our Hiyori blocker, our Kuma replacement, down to the wire. Our opponent has the turn. 4 cards in hand. All 10 Dawn to work with. We have 2 lives left and a blocker on the board. All right, our opponent going deep into the think tank, figuring out how they want to go about this turn. Do they want to go for lethal this turn? We'll see what they do next. Okay, our opponent attaches 3 Dawn to lead, and they swing at our life, 9 at 5. And we go ahead and take that first life. We decide to not use the blocker. That brings us down to 1 life. And our opponent continues to pile on the pressure. They swing 10k with the Jozu, 10 at 5. They still have their Newgates. We have our blocker as an option. We are calculating, do we have the counter to get out of this? We decide to use leader ability plus the rest of our counter to get out of that attack. We survive that attack, making sure that we still have 1 life available. Our opponent decides not to swing with the Newgate. They pass the turn. We use our unblockable event now that we only have 1 life, and we're swinging for lethal 13k at their life, 13 at 6, unblockable. Our opponent uses leader ability there, minus 2,000. 2k counters, but that's not gonna be enough. Blue-yellow Nami swinging for lethal against red-blue ace. That was a very back and forth game with the board control. Both of us trading off Jozu plays, our opponent getting a red rock play, getting their big bodies on the board. But with Nami, we were able to build those resources in hand, control their board, and then ultimately swing unblockable with our event. GG's to our opponent. Let's get into the next one. All right, and we got our next matchup against OP14 Boa, a battle of the blue-yellow leaders. We did win dice roll this game, and we are choosing to go first. Here we go, and we do decide to keep our opening hand. We do have our searcher event. We go ahead and start off with the searcher event. We choose to grab our 7-cost Nico Robin. That'll be nice to play on curve. We pass the turn. They start with a Hiyori, so they get to cycle the top card of their life, play some sort of trigger. We'll have to see what they played. They pass the turn. We go ahead and play our young girl. So we get to draw a card, trash a card, and then we can attach a Dawn to our leader. We attach the rest of our Dawn. We swing 7k at lead. They take that life, and they do get a Gorgon Sisters trigger on that play. So our opponent chose the Gorgon Sisters with the Hiyori. They get to play it right away. We did get to draw a card with our leader ability, but we go ahead and pass the turn there. And our opponent starts off playing a Boa Hancock blocker, 4 cost. They get to attach a Dawn to lead. They go ahead and use Gorgon Sisters to reveal 3 Rands in the hand. They get to attach another Dawn to lead and a Dawn to their Gorgon Sisters. We use leader ability here. Ditch one of our Nico Robins to protect from one of their attacks. We take their leader attack, but we get a trigger ourselves, so let's break that down. They swung with the leader. Well, they swung with the Gorgon Sisters first. We used leader ability to counter out. Then they swung 7k with lead. We took that life, but we got a Kikanojo trigger. Since our opponent has 3 or less life, we got to play the Kikanojo right away. They go ahead and pass the turn. 5 Dawn turn now for us. And we do have our 5-cost Nami in hand, considering maybe a Nojiko. Potentially we could do a search. We do play the Nojiko out, so we do bounce their blocker back to hand. We attach a Dawn to leader with Young Girl. Attach a second Dawn. We swing 7k at 5. Our opponent takes that life. We get to draw a card. Our opponent down to 2 life. We attach a Dawn to Kikanojo and swing 7k at 5. All right, putting the pressure on our opponent's life here. They do counter out with 3 1ks out of hand. We end our turn playing a Searcher, our Searcher event, and we grab a 2k counter Zeus. That'll be useful defensively. Pass the turn, our opponent starts with their 5-cost Nami, forcing us to pick up a life. They attach a Dawn to their leader with Nami. So both of us down to 2 life now. Both of us building our board. They use Gorgon Sisters. They reveal they have a 9-cost Boa in hand. And of course, they have the Ran and the 4-cost Boa. They attach a Dawn to their Gorgon Sisters and their leader. And they swing 6k at the Kikanojo. So we could let the Kikanojo go here and then get a life, but I think it'll be worth it to counter out. Yeah, so we do counter out, 1k counter. They swing 8k at the Kikunojo with their leader, and we decide to let the Kikunojo now go, but we do get to get that life, so we are up to 3 life. Our opponent passes the turn, and I just want to break one thing down real quick. If we rewind for a second, yeah, so we countered out with this Silver's Rayleigh right here. In this particular matchup, the Silver's Rayleigh just isn't going to be quite as strong because if we use its effect to KO a character, if we KO one of their Kuja Pirates or Amazon Lilies, thanks to their leader ability, we're going to have to take a life. And then if we use it to KO their Nami, they're just going to be able to replace it with another 6k or less body. So in this case, it just felt best to let the Silver's Rayleigh go and not use it in this matchup. All right, let's keep going. So our opponent does pass the turn here. 7 Dawn turn for us. We have our Nico Robin in hand. We could play on curve here, and we do go ahead and play the Nico Robin. So we get another life. We get to draw a card with leader ability. Now we go ahead and attach a Dawn with our young girl. We swing 6k at lead, and our opponent takes that life. Down to 1 life for our opponent. They do get a trigger. They get a Gloriosa, so they're going to be able to cycle the card in their life one more time, choose which card they put at their life. We'll have to see what trigger they've laid a trap for. On our opponent's turn, we pass it. They start off playing a Kuma, so our opponent heals up 1 life. They establish a 7k body Kuma. They activate their Gorgon Sisters, revealing those same 3 cards, Ran, Boa, and the other Boa. They get to attach a Dawn to all their characters. They swing 7k at lead here. Do we want to use leader ability? We do. We ditch our Kikunojo and a 1k counter to protect ourselves. We ditch another 1k counter to protect our life, and our opponent swings another 7k with lead, and we go ahead and take that life. But we do get a Grav Blade. We do get a Grav Blade, and we can use the trigger to bottom deck their Nami. And since it's the bottom deck, their Nami's on KO does not get activated. So nice trigger to pull there, pretty clutch. Our opponent goes ahead and passes the turn now. 9 Dawn turn for us. The battle is starting to heat up. Okay, we're considering, and we play a Red Rock to Red Rock the Gorgon Sisters. We clear the Gorgon Sisters off the board, attach a Dawn with our young girl, and we go ahead and put the pressure on. We're swinging 7k at lead, 7 at 5. Our opponent counters out there, 2k and a 1k. 2 Dawn to work with. We attach 1 Dawn to lead. We swing 9 at lead. We're swinging 9 at 5. Our opponent takes that life. Looks like maybe they tried to get a trigger, but it didn't quite work. We go ahead and pass the turn. We did get to draw a card with our Nami leader ability. We are leaving 1 Dawn standing, mostly just for bluffing purposes. Okay, our opponent starts off with a 7k swing at lead, 7 at 5. Okay, we go ahead and take that life, and we draw into another Red Rock, but we decide not to use the trigger. No point. Then our opponent plays the 4-cost Boa. Smart of our opponent to play the Boa after attacking there. Otherwise, we could have used Red Rock to bottom deck the Boa. They play a second Boa, so they have 2 4-cost Boa blockers on the field now. Our opponent working to protect their life. They get to attach 2 Dawn to their leader with both of those Boas. They attach a third, so they're swinging 8k at our face, 8 at lead. We counter out. We counter out with leader ability and a 2k counter. Okay, protecting our life. We still have 2 life. And here we go. We play the Jozu. We bounce the Kuma back to hand, and then we play the Nojiko. And a second Nojiko, we attach a Dawn to lead. We start out by swinging 8. Okay, hold on. Just going to break down something real quick. First of all, the Jozu, Nojiko, double Nojiko combo just cleared both of their blockers off the board. Very strong combo there. We decided to swing with our Nico Robin first, knowing that Boa does run an event called You'll Frighten Me. We have that same event in our deck. If we swung with our leader first, potentially if they had that in hand, they could have froze our Nico Robin from attacking this turn. So we swing with Nico Robin first and then swing with our leader last. Okay, 1 Dawn on our lead. We swing 6 at 5. Putting the pressure on. Our opponent does counter out with an event. So they use a Slave Arrow. It's 4k counter event. We have to pass the turn now. Okay, our opponent down to 0 life. They get both of their blockers back onto the board. All right, the pressure is on. Our opponent has 2 blockers and their Gorgon Sisters. They go ahead and activate the Gorgon Sisters. We see they have Perfume Femur, Boa Hancock, and a 2k counter in hand. So 2 bricks in hand. Just going to keep note of that. They get to attach Dawn to their leader. And their Gorgon sisters, they swing 7K. They swing at lead. They're putting the pressure on us. We know there's going to be another 8K coming in. And we go ahead and take that life. We do decide to take that life. Our opponent swings 8K at 5. We could counter out of this. We could consider taking this life too. But no, we decide to counter out. 2 2Ks, counter out of that. We have 1 life left. Our opponent has 2 blockers standing. And the thing is too, if we don't land lethal this turn, with only 1 life left, we're pretty vulnerable. Only 4 cards in hand for our opponent to try to go for lethal on their next turn. So let's see what we decide to do here. We go ahead and play the Jozu. Okay, we bounce one of their blockers back to hand. We bounce a Nojiko back to our hand. We attach a Dawn to lead with our young girl. With our last 4 Dawn, we could play the Hiyori, or we could just go all out and play the Nojiko, bounce the blocker back to hand, and swing for lethal. The safe play is to play the Hiyori. We're going for it. We play the Nojiko, we bounce their Boa blocker back to hand, and we go ahead and attach 1 Dawn to our Nico Robin. We start with a 9K swing. Our opponent counters out with 2 2Ks and a 1K. We know they have 2 bricks in hand. We swing with the Jozu, and we swing for lethal. Blue-Yellow Nami getting the dub against Blue-Yellow Boa. What a game. GG's to our opponent here. Coming down to the wire. And it was the Jozu Nojiko combo twice in this game to control our opponent's board and then clear their blockers to swing for lethal. Risky going for it at the end there, but I think knowing that they had 2 bricks in hand, I think it was a pretty safe bet to go for that lethal swing. But that's Blue-Yellow Nami right there, on a budget, taking down Ace, taking down Boa. And both of our opponents were strong. They didn't make any clear play mistakes. Both of these games went deep into the late game. Nami is able to utilize those resources, get those extra resources in hand, play defensively, play board control, but then get aggressive when we need to with cards like Eustace Captain Kidd and our unblockable events. And I think with this deck, there's definitely still some room to workshop it. You know, the best way to go about making a budget version. But that Hiyori being the replacement for Kuma, 5 cost Nami being a replacement for Marco. We'll have to wait till EBO3 to see these prices on Nico Robin and Nami. But let me know in the comments how you're feeling about this list, if there's any changes you'd make, any suggestions. I love to have these conversations. Just trying to make the game competitive without breaking the bank. And if you made it this far in the video and you enjoyed the gameplay, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. GG's to both of our opponents today. We'll be back with another one. Peace.